Hi everybody, it's Lisa Murray here in the Sweet Life Kitchen, and today we're going to be making some gorgeous glass flour sandwiches. I've got in here some beautiful bean sprouts, some bok choy, some grated carrots, and some purple cabbage, along with some bell peppers, some cucumbers, some really nice lean pork chop, along with some cilantro and some edible carnation flowers. I'm going to show you how to use these guys because a lot of us don't know how to use these. The kids will love it. They're so cool and so fun, and it's just a neat idea. They also are do really well for picnics. So it's just a pretty way to display on a tray if you're going to do something with your friends or your family. But anyway, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut your pork into tiny cubes. And I've already gotten started for you with that. So we're just going to chop this stuff up and get these guys cubed up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the stove and I'm going to warm up my wok, and I'm going to pour into it some sesame seed oil. And I want you to get it pretty hot. I want you to get it pretty high in there on your temperature because I want to sear this pork in first. So I'm just going to drizzle some sesame oil in here. It's very important that you use the sesame oil. The flavors in the sesame oil are part of what makes this sandwich taste Asian, and that's what we're making, is an Asian, almost like a little mini egg roll sandwich. So the first part of it is just getting some sesame seed oil down in there, and then I'm going to take this pork and I'm going to salt it up. It's probably I don't know, maybe a half of a tablespoon of salt, and I'm going to pepper it as well. And then I'm just going to take this from the chopping block and put it into that wok. You want to hear the sizzle. The sizzle means you've got that oil hot enough to get that sear on, and I want the sear on the pork because it's very important that you have that. It makes the meat a lot more tastier. So I've gone ahead and done the prep work for you, but you're going to need to have probably about a cup of bok choy or Napa cabbage shredded. You're going to need about the same amount for your purple cabbage and your carrots. If your family loves carrots like we do, maybe more carrots than the bok choy, or you do that based on what your family likes. But it's a full meal. Everything in here is a full meal. It's just a really neat recipe that I developed. My family likes to eat a lot of Asian food, and we used to go out a lot to do that. And obviously we're not all going out these days to do too much eating out. So this is just a simple and fun way to do a lunch, or even potentially a supper if you wanted to. It's certainly hearty enough to do that for your family. I'm going to get the pork completely cooked. And I'm going to let that sit just like that so I can get a good sear on it. Okay guys, so you see I've got a good strong sear on these little pieces of the pork chop. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain these guys into the bowl and let them rest for a minute. And then I'm going to get started with the vegetables that go inside the sandwich. So let me take these out. All right. Next, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before. I'm going to put some more sesame oil down in there. And I'm going to take my already prepared vegetables. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. So I've got sprouts, I've got carrots, I've got bok choy, or napa cabbage, and bok choy actually combined, and some purple cabbage. So I'm just going to dump that right in. Isn't that gorgeous? Next, I'm going to take a handful of some bell peppers that I've chopped into slices. Say a handful, depends on how many you're going to be making. And I want you to start stirring this around a little bit and kind of get everybody happy and a little bit wilted up. Do not need everybody to be fully cooked for this. Do not want everybody to be fully cooked for this, but I don't want there to be that stark contrast with an uncooked carrot or an uncooked bell pepper. So just a little bit of time on here. Looks like a garden, doesn't it? That's why I like to call these the glass flower sandwiches, because they really are gorgeous and they transport very well. I'll put a little bit more oil down in here. And they transport better, guys, if you don't put your sauce on the vegetables in the sandwich as you're doing your assembly. If you'll leave that in a little container on the side and let the children or y'all dip down in there, everybody will get the sauce on their sandwich. But if you put it inside the sandwich, they're going to go bad quicker. So you could actually make these guys up several days in advance and keep them in your refrigerator and take them with you if you wanted to go outside and do a story time or spend some time out there in the yard by the pool or whatnot. They really are a nice, light, refreshing lunch. But like I said earlier, they're equally hearty enough to suffice for dinner. You've got all your vegetables in here that everybody needs to eat every single day, and you got the meat. So for vegetarians, if you guys are not eating meat, you could certainly do just what I'm doing right now at this step and skip the meat. And another really cool idea is you could take some shredded chicken. Like let's say, for example, you had some fried chicken that you'd picked up at the store. If you had leftover fried chicken, you could just shred that chicken up and use that chicken in there too. So there's a lot of ways that you can make this to your taste and to your family's taste. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. Okay, so we're where I want it to be. There's going to be a crunch from the carrot. There's going to be a crunch from the pepper, but they're not just straight out of the refrigerator. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a little bit of saturation with that sesame oil and a little bit of a wilt on it. So that's where we are with that. So I'm going to turn this off altogether and let it sit for a minute. Now I'm going to come over here and show you how to do something else. So it's very important whenever you're doing, you're using the rice paper spring rolls that you understand how to use them, and they're kind of hard to figure out if you don't know what you're doing. The most important thing is for me is I like to use the ones that have the tapioca in it, because they hold up better for me and they don't tend to fall apart when I'm trying to put the assembly together. So I've got a bowl of warm water, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay that down in there just like that and soften it up, and you let it stay in there for just a little bit, probably I'd say maybe a minute or half of a minute. You just want to make sure that it has a chance to sort of get rehydrated, because what they've done is they've got them down so that they are in sheets, and they need to kind of plump back up with some water to get them where they need to be for you to eat them. There's a little bit of a slip on it too that you can feel, and when you start to feel that slip, you know that you've got it where you need it to be. So you take it out and you want to lay it on your cutting block like this. And then you need to pay attention to the fact that what you're going to see is actually going to be in your bottom layer. So the first thing I want to do just real fast is I'm going to chop up some cucumber, because I want that crunch to be there and be present in the sandwich. And I think that the smaller, thin strips is really the best way to go for this. Just be real careful cutting that up. So you've got some strips. And what you're going to do is you're going to take some carnations. And I don't know if you guys know that you can eat carnations. You can eat lots of flowers. There's another recipe that I'm going to be doing here shortly that is one of the flowers in my garden. And the flowers in the garden that actually have a high level of antioxidants, which is a really good thing for your immune system to be eaten on a regular. So this is the first thing I want you to do, is lay down some flowers. And then I want you to lay down some cucumbers. And then I want you to go in here and get yourself some of your pork that you did. And how you want to stuff these is basically on who you're feeding. If you've got a child or a husband that really is more of a meat eater than a vegetable eater, then obviously you would put more pork in here, or chicken or shrimp or whatever meat you're going to do, than you would the vegetable. But luckily I've got members that like the vegetables. So then I'm going to take a little bit of this wonderful mixture that we made that looks like the garden. Be sure you get a bell pepper. I'm going to take it over here and lay it down into my rice paper spring roll wrapper. And then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to start pulling up the sides. All right, and I've got it where I can see that it's a little bit sticky, which is where I want it to be. The last thing you want to do is you want to take a sprig of your cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you could use parsley. If you don't like parsley, you don't have to use anything at all. I just happen to like that flavor, to add the cilantro flavor to this particular glass sandwich. It just, for me, adds a nice touch, as the cucumbers for me are very important as well. What I want you to do is I want you to take the top of this and I want you to fold it like this forward, and then I want you to take the bottom and be gentle and fold it forward, and it'll stick. So you're going to stick your sides together, make like a little cocoon, and then fold over this like you would for an egg roll or a wrap of any kind, really. And again, over here, do it there. And then what you do is you start making these on a plate, so they look like that when you're done. And then the last thing that you do is you eat it. So you take this beautiful wrapped, and you can dip it in your barbecue sauce. You can dip it in your homemade oils with spices, or whatever you want to do. It's just a delicious sandwich, and I hope you enjoy it. So I look forward to you guys being on the channel. I look forward to you guys subscribing and sharing. If you found any value in this sandwich, please don't hesitate to ring that bell so that you're notified for the other episodes that are coming each week. But this is just a really cool little sandwich, isn't it? So pretty and so different from what you normally would be feeding somebody for lunch or yourself. Enjoy. Take care.